欢迎继续收看佛学英文这一堂课。Welcome back to the basic Buddhist English. Let's read a few sentences and then analyze the content. Repeat after me. Hatred is a crime in any of its forms: resentment, aversion, jealousy, anger, harshness, disgust. If we watch carefully what it does to our feelings and what we do to other people's feelings when motivated by it, we have no choice but to give it up. We are very empty inside. Just watch us walk to fill up the vacant hours. Time on our hands is very dangerous. We might stop long enough to notice that we are very unhappy people going nowhere. The Buddha did not come in the 6th century BC to reassure us that the world was moving in the right direction. Repeat. Hatred is a crime in any of its forms: resentment, aversion, jealousy, anger, harshness, disgust. If we watch carefully what it does to our feelings and what we do to other people's feelings when motivated by it, we have no choice but to give it up. We are very empty inside. Just watch us walk to fill up the vacant hours. Time on our hands is very dangerous. We might stop long enough to notice that we are very unhappy people going nowhere. The Buddha did not come in the 6th century BC to reassure us that the world was moving in the right direction. In our last few classes, we have been discussing the dangers of hatred, resentment, and other bad emotions. We also discussed the benefits of loving kindness, or the help the loving kindness can render to us and to other people. And as we have discussed the ways to develop our loving kindness, every day we must spend some time just to imagine that we are sending out our loving kindness to other people. And also, we are giving loving kindness to ourselves. It is very important because thought is the driving force, is the most important factor behind our actions, our behaviors, and our speeches. If we have the right thought, then we can perform good actions, good behaviors, and we can speak good words. However, if our thought is bad, then we will perform bad actions, bad behaviors, and we will speak bad languages, harmful words to hurt other people. Thought is the most important thing in our life and in the universe. To develop loving kindness in order to help us and to help other people. Loving kindness can make us feel peaceful, can make us easy in our daily life, can make us a better person, a better friend to other people. We understand that anger, aversion, and hatred, resentment are very dangerous and very harmful, very powerful to our life. Today, we will discuss further what is hatred, and when we discover we have the feelings of hatred, how to give up and try to understand who we are. We are persons, no doubt, but we are of what kind of persons we don't understand at all. We must analyze ourselves first before we can cure our sickness, before we can treat our sickness, diagnose ourselves first, before we can give medicine, we can give treatment to ourselves. And that is the wisdom taught by the Buddha. The Buddha understands how to live a happy life, how to live a peaceful life by practice, by meditation. He is such an enlightened master in mankind's history. And he is considered as the greatest enlightened one in the history of humankind. Hatred is a crime in any of its forms. For example, resentment, aversion, jealousy, anger, harshness, and disgust. Hatred can be expressed in different forms. Hatred can be performed in so many forms. It is not only one form to manifest the emotion of hatred. Hatred is the bad emotion, but it tries to disguise itself, to disguise itself, to wear a mask in itself. Sometimes it bursts out suddenly, and we cannot even notice that we are in the state of anger. Hatred can be expressed in resentment. Resentment means dislike. Like we resent something, I resent some people. In other words, I dislike something or I dislike some people. I dislike, I don't like, because of my past experience. The person, the people, the things gave me very bad impression in the past. Therefore, right now, I resent the people, I resent the things. This is resentment. Resentment can be a disguised form of hatred. And then we have another expression of hatred, that is aversion. Aversion means the opposite of like. That means we hate so much some people or some things or some circumstances. That is aversion. Jealousy is another form of hatred. We are jealous of the people who are superior to us. We are jealous of the people who are better than us. We are jealous of the social status or the wealth or the reputation other people may enjoy. This is jealousy. Jealousy comes from an unbalanced mind. Because the mind is unbalanced, because the mind is not steady, it's not peaceful, it's not in a tranquil state, we may become jealous of something. Then we have another form of hatred, that is anger. I show angry at somebody, or I show angry at some things, some places, some circumstance. Harshness is another form of hatred. Harsh means very hard. It is not soft. It is not easy to make it gentle. Harshness means not gentle. For example, we may say harsh words to condemn other people. We may express harsh appearance to show our unhappiness. Harshness may hurt other people. Harsh words is not nice to hear. Harsh words are just like a rock or a stone or a sword or a knife which may harm or endanger other people. In the similar way, harsh action means too rough. The rough action done by a rough person, not in the gentle way, not the pattern performed by a gentleman or a fair lady. That is harsh action. Harshness is a form of hatred. Because we have hatred in our mind, we express our hatred, in our action, or in our speech, in the form of harshness. Harshness is too rough, is too tough, is too hard. Therefore, it may endanger, it may hurt other people. Very bad to hear the harsh words. When people get together, we don't like harsh words. We like gentle words. When people get together, we don't like harsh actions. We like gentle actions. Because we hope to be treated nicely. Because harshness is not the way a gentleman or a fair lady should have. Disgust is another form of hatred. Disgust is the strong feeling of dislike. I disgust some people. I disgust some actions or some circumstances. Means I dislike very much. Because somebody are not worthy of my respect. Some circumstances are not worthy of my giving attention to it. Disgust means dislike very strongly. There are many forms of hatred. However, any form of hatred is dangerous, is harmful to ourselves and to other people. We may try to find what is the form of hatred we usually have in our daily life. Although sometimes we don't believe we have hatred in our daily life, yet we still express hatred in a certain form which we may not be familiar with, or which we may not recognize. And that is the problem. We always try to be a good person. We always try to be a person accepted by other people. We always try to be a reputable person in order to enjoy our social status, to maintain what we have, to retain what we like. In this way, hatred expresses itself in different forms. Some forms of hatred may be hidden forms, and we cannot recognize or distinguish them easily or at the initial state. We must train ourselves. We must calm down our mind and try to train ourselves to examine, to observe what is in our mind in order to find what is the real state of our mind, whether we are in the state of hatred, whether we are in the state of resentment, aversion, jealousy, anger, harshness, disgust. Anyway, once we discover that we have hatred in any form, we may realize that how dangerous the hatred is. If we watch carefully what it does to our feelings and what we do to other people's feelings when motivated by it, we have no choice but to give it up. Of course, it is not easy to notice hatred. It is not easy to recognize that we have hatred. But after training, but after long years of experience or long years of practice, if we watch carefully, watch means observe. If we watch carefully, means if we observe in details. Carefully means with great care, with great attention, with great details. We will not neglect any details. If we observe carefully, if we pay close attention to our mentality, to our mental attitude, if we observe hatred carefully, if we observe carefully what hatred does to our feelings, what hatred does to our feelings, what hatred affects or influences our feelings. Maybe we have happy feelings, and yet when we have hatred in our mind, then our happy feelings will disappear. Our happy feelings will become unhappy feelings. Our good mood will become bad mood. How terrible it is. How strong it is. How powerful it is. The hatred can make us change from good to bad. If we can observe hatred carefully, the effect of hatred, what it does to our feelings, what hatred will affect our feelings, what hatred will change our feelings. And further, if we observe what we do to other people's feelings when motivated by it, what we do to other people's feelings when we have hatred in mind. The hatred is a kind of emotion which can drive us to expressed in a certain form of feeling, of perception, and then it will affect our nature of treatment towards other people. If we can observe, if we can watch carefully what we do to other people's feelings when we have hatred. Watch carefully means use our mental eyes to see into details. Means to use our mental eyes to examine, to observe very carefully what is the influence of hatred. Then we may get the findings. Then we may get the result, or we may reach the conclusion that we cannot have other choice but to give it up. We have no choice but to give it up. No choice means alternative. We can make decision out of two or more than two alternatives. We have no choice but means accept. No choice but means no choice except. In other words, the only choice is to give it up. We have no choice but to give it up. Means to give it up is our only choice. Why? Why we must give it up? Give up means to forsake or to cast away or to give away, to give it up. To give hatred up means to throw away, to cast away our hatred. This is the only choice we can have. We cannot have another alternative. Because hatred is so harmful. Hatred is so dangerous that it can harm us and others. If hatred cannot do anything good to ourselves and others, what is the benefit? And what is the point to keep hatred again? And what is the advantage to have the emotion of hatred? Hatred can be expressed in so many different forms. And no matter which form hatred manifests, hatred is always harmful. It is not good to us to have hatred. In the past, because our mind is always in confusion, we cannot see clearly. We cannot watch clearly. And now, if we watch carefully with our mental eyes, we will get the conclusion that we cannot have any other choice but to give hatred up, because hatred has nothing good but harming us and other people. No other choice at all, no other alternative at all, no other decision we can make. The only way we should do is to give hatred up, to cast hatred away, to forsake hatred. We are very empty inside. Just watch us walk to fill up the vacant hours. Oh, we are just like in a jungle of problems. We are just like in the jungle of life. We are just like in the jungle of confusion. We are very empty inside. Inside means in our mind. We are very empty in our mind. Our mind is totally empty. Our mind has no wisdom. Our mind is blank. Our mind retains nothing. So, we are not easy. So, we feel insecure. Because our mind is empty, we try to go here and there. We try to be very busy in order to fill up the vacant hours. Just watch us means just observe or just examine. Just see, just look at ourselves. How we try to fill up the vacant hours. Vacant hours is the hours that we don't have obligations. Vacant hours can make us feel lonely and unhappy. And because our mind is so empty, we are empty inside. And we cannot stand, we cannot tolerate the vacant hours. We will feel lonely. We will feel unhappy. We will try our best to fill up the vacant hours. We may observe ourselves whether we are always trying to fill up the vacant hours. Another ways to fill up the vacant hours are so many. We may have engagements. We may have appointments. We may go to the theater to see a movie or to see a drama or to listen to a concert or to see a dance performance or just stay at home idling and watch the television all day long. But even in holidays, we may invite people to restaurant or to our house to have dinner, or we may try to go outside, to have excursion, to go hiking, or to go sightseeing. Because the vacant hours will make us lonely. That means that our mind is empty, that our mind is not peaceful, because our mind is wandering away all the time in order to hold something, in order to grab something, in order to fill up the empty space in our mind. That is the pity of ordinary people, because we don't know how to enjoy the empty space. We don't know how to enjoy the peace of empty time or empty space. We don't know how wonderful it is to have the time that we can be totally free from other engagement or appointments. And we are so afraid of the lonely hours, the vacant hours. In modern world of commerce and industry, we are living a very busy life. We have so many obligations. Not only the obligations in the office, but also the obligations in our life, in our interpersonal relationships. And we cannot stand, we cannot endure, we cannot tolerate the loneliness we may have in our vacant hours. However, if we can train ourselves to have a holy life, to have the mind or the mentality to appreciate the only hours that we may have between our busy schedules, then we can appreciate how lucky we have to have the vacant hours. Because the vacant hours are the only time that we can reflect on ourselves, that we can observe ourselves, that we can feedback on ourselves in order to understand more clearly who we are. Time on our hands is very dangerous. We have time from the very time we are born into the world until the moment we die. Time on our hands is very dangerous. We have two hands, and the time on our hands is very dangerous if we don't treasure the time, if we don't understand how to use the time. Then time can become very dangerous, because we may use the time to do bad things. We may use the time to develop our bad emotions. We may use the time to harm ourselves and other people, we might stop long enough to notice that we are very unhappy people going nowhere special. We might stop long enough. That means we should spare some time in our life in order to discover, in order to find, to realize that we are very unhappy people. We just stop. We just spare some time in our daily life. And then we may find, we may discover that we are very unhappy people, going nowhere special. We don't know where we are going. We don't know where we should go. No special place we are going. We are mission in the crowd. We are mission in the ocean. We are mission in our life. We don't have our goal. We don't have our destination. We don't have our purpose. We don't have our objective of life. We go astray. We are mission ourselves. How miserable we are. We don't know which is the direction we should take. We don't know what is the value of life. According to the Buddha, it is not easy to be born as a human being. We must treasure the human being and make the best use of our human life in order to get happiness or to get freedom from samsara. Samsara is a cycle of reincarnation because of our ignorance and our karma, our unwise actions. We are entrapped in the cycle of samsara. But as a human being, we are lucky enough to have the opportunity to listen to the teaching of Dharma, the advice of the Buddha, and to practice discipline, to practice concentration, and to practice insight in order to be independent from the influence of external world and our internal mind. As it is said in the sutra, that we have so many knots which bind us tightly and make us unhappy. The only ways to get out of the knots, to untie the knots, to be free from the bondage, are the practice of discipline or siddha or precepts, the practice of concentration or samadhi, and the practice of insight or vipassana. The practice is so important. The practice is try to awaken ourselves, is to make us understand clearly who we are and what is around us and what is the right direction, what is the goal, the purpose of our life. Our life should be used in practice in order to improve our life, in order to have enlightenment during this very short life of several decades. We may live for 70 years or 80 years, or to the most, we may live for 100 years. But no matter how old, how long life we may have, one day we have to die. And one day we have to disappear in this world and to be reborn again. And we will start the cycle of suffering again. We will be entrapped in the samsara. The Buddha advises us, it is not a good life in samsara, because samsara is full of unhappiness, is full of suffering. Therefore, we must try our best to practice in order to live a happy life. The Buddha Sakyamuni was born in the 6th century BC. BC means before Christ, because the Buddha was born in the year 564 before Christ. The Buddha was born into the human world in northern India in ancient time. The Buddha did not come in the 6th century BC to reassure us that the world was moving in the right direction. The Buddha was a prince of a small kingdom in northern India, nowadays Nepal. But it is a law of nature that an enlightened person will suffer a lot from life, because enlightened person has no wisdom. An enlightened person doesn't know the way to deal with the problems of life, doesn't know the resolutions to solve the problems in life. Although Prince Gautama Sakyamuni was a prince, but he was still a human being. He still has the suffering as we may have. However, he left home, left palace, in order to practice and find the ways to get out of suffering. After 6 years of hardship, 6 years of asceticism, He was not enlightened. Therefore, he gave up the ways of other ascetic did. He left them and went to Bodhikaya and sat on a rock under the Bodhi tree. After meditation, after observation, after his analysis, the Gautama Sakyamuni finally was enlightened that there is no creator at all. There is no Almighty God at all. There is no first cause at all. Why our human life is made in this way? Why the universe appears in this way? It is not because of an external force, but it is because of dependent origination. So many interrelated factors combine together, and so that makes a certain phenomenon manifest. This is the theory of dependent origination or dependent origin. Because of enlightenment, Buddha saw clearly the truth of our human life, the truth of the universe. And because he analyzed that human life is full of suffering, that human life is impermanent, that actually we don't have any eternal ego, eternal self at all, he realized that the only way to get out of suffering is to let go of the attachment to the concept of I and the mind. The concept of I is the concept of having an eternal ego. And that the concept of mind comes from the concept of I. If we can give up the concept of I and the mind, then we can be free from all the bondage of I and the mind. And we can have a very happy and a peaceful life. And that is the right direction to get out of suffering. The right direction of getting out of suffering is in our mind, not from outside. We must control our mind. We must purify our mind. Thank you for joining us. Thank you again.